Are you a life coach who wants to make a difference in the world? Do you want to share your wisdom, passion, and experience with others? Do you want to grow your business and reach more clients? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then you need Life Coaching Today. Life Coaching Today is the largest platform on the web for life coaches, therapists, and hypnotherapists who want to enhance their visibility, gain exposure, and connect with clients. Life Coaching Today is more than just a directory. It's a network of opportunities. By joining Life Coaching Today, you will get access to a magazine where you can be featured and connect with over 30 million subscribers. Be a guest to our podcasts with over 55,000 subscribers. A directory where you can showcase your profile, services, and testimonials to thousands of potential clients. And that's not all. Life Coaching Today also offers a free 30-minute coaching session on Tuesdays and Thursdays, where you can be coached or meet your next client. A flexible pricing plan where you can choose the best option for your budget and goals. A dedicated customer service team where you can get help and guidance whenever you need it. So what are you waiting for? Join Life Coaching Today and take your life coaching career to the next level. Visit www.lifecoachingtoday.com and sign up today. Life Coaching Today, the largest portal on the web connecting coaches, therapists, and hypnotherapists.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Life Coaching Today Presents. This is Kiddada Esmera Gray, conflict coach, and it feels like it's been a minute since I have been with you all, and we have been back on Facebook Live and recording a podcast. So welcome. Good morning. It's 7:05. Life was lifing with us this morning, so we're a tad bit late, but we are here and we are awake. God actually woke us up this morning, okay? And we're going to start there. So, excuse me, hopefully my voice can keep up. I've been losing my voice since the beginning of May, which is really traumatic for me, especially when you're podcasting and you're singing and you keep losing your voice. But you know what? I'm just going to keep on pushing on. Last week, I missed you all because I was super exhausted. I was over it. My body shut down. And sometimes we just need to do that. We have, and I say we, right? Because I feel like this is a community. I have a community of people from Life Coaching Today that is a part of this team with me. I've got my awesome producer, Yoruba, who is also a part of the we team. And so I will always collectively say we, because I don't think this is all about me. But we are so excited to have you all. And guess what? We're going to talk about some things today that we normally, as usual, don't talk about. But I do want to say some things though, like I was out yesterday and inviting people onto my show. And I thought it was really interesting because one of the pieces of feedback that I received was, oh yeah, I want to come on the show and start some trouble. And it kind of took me aback because I was like, have you ever seen my podcast or listened to my podcast? Because some of you all can see me and you can see me on YouTube and stuff like that. But I was like, I didn't realize that podcasts were like the troublemaking areas of life. It didn't occur to me like that because I know the podcasts that I listen to don't seem like trouble. They seem like really informative, sometimes a tad bit scandalous, but But, you know, here I will say this. I like to talk about all of the kind of like conflictual challenges of life that we may not give name to. Hence, you see, I'm a conflict coach, and that we don't even address, right? So I have some topics that probably people don't want to talk about. This is not a traditional relationship podcast. This is not a traditional political podcast. This is not a traditional life podcast, because guess what? Everything in this life is a conflict, and most people don't realize that. And when I say that, I mean, if you have choices to make, that is inherently a conflict. If you have choice A or choice B, and you're struggling to make those decisions, or, you know, how you come across making those types of decisions, that's a conflict. And conflict is not problematic. It opens us up for resolution if that's the path that we choose to take. So yeah, trouble. I don't know about trouble here, but I do want you to think if that challenges you. So on today's podcast, I'm going to talk about teen fathers. It is the month of June, so that means it's Father's Day is coming up, and Father's Day, I think, is Sunday, June 16th. Y'all, please go buy y'all daddies nice gifts. We have 10 days before Father's Day, so please go take the time. Don't do it the day before. Y'all, we don't do that for our mommies. So let's put a little respect on the fatherhood name. Daddies are important. If you're on my Facebook page, you will see that I actually, on my cover photo, I posted a photo of me and my daddy. And that story is really interesting because that was at Atlanta Carnival here in Atlanta, Georgia, over the Memorial Day weekend. And my daddy popped up in Atlanta. And as I was on the truck dancing around and doing the shimmies of all the shimmies, I heard someone call me by my nickname, and I ain't gonna tell y'all my nickname because we don't go together like that. And so I heard my nickname and looked over, and there was my daddy. And I jumped off this truck and gave my daddy a hug, and my girlfriends captured that photo. And so I love it. I love my daddy. So happy Father's Day to my daddy, Bunga Gray. So yeah, that's my daddy. That's my daddy. And so, fathers, y'all. But we're gonna talk about also. I'm gonna give you all some information about teen fathers, because we never talk about the other half of teen parenting. They're like the silent people, and there's a reason for that. There's a real reason for that. So we're gonna talk about that. I want to also give a shout out because listen, we have had graduates graduating everywhere, every day. It seems like all across the country. And my baby cousin, one of my baby cousins, he graduated this past Sunday from SCAD. So Tariq, shout out to you, Tariq, for doing that damn thing, 4 years at SCAD. And let me just tell you, SCAD is one of the premier art schools and design schools, and he just has the brain for that. He's a mad creative, and I love him for that. And so, sorry I couldn't get to graduation activities, but things were already scheduled. So, shout out to him. I do want to take just a little detour because I do want to talk about not only teen fathers, I also want to talk about misrepresentation in politics. We are still in political season, and we have had some really interesting things pop up over the last couple of weeks, especially here in Georgia. So that's another thing on the topic. And because I'm old and I can't remember what else was on my topic list. Oh, I know what. We're also talking about denouncing and renouncing. I did that, I think it was back in May, offhandedly, y'all, we just denouncing and renouncing things. And when I thought about it last night, it occurred to me that, I'm breathing because you know what? I think I'm more used to people renouncing their faith, meaning from the religious perspective, versus people renouncing their fraternities and sororities. And I'm saying that in light of their Black fraternities and sororities and their relationships. And so that has been trending a lot. And so I just kind of got frustrated. I was like, you know what, let's renounce some things and denounce some things in our lives. So a girlfriend and I, Jennifer Simmons, actually joined me and we went through a list. So we'll talk about some of those things as well. Good morning, Emily. Good morning to anyone that is joining me by Facebook Live this morning. I just want to let you know, if you guys have any comments, if you want to come on because your hair is brushed, you're looking cute this morning, let me know. Put it in the chat, put it in the comments so my wonderful producer can see it. And if you want to come on screen, that's a possibility, and you can share all the things with us this morning. So let's get started. And so last night before I laid my head down to rest, something occurred to me. and just randomly, and I don't even recall now what kind of set it off in my brain. But I wanted just to say to you all, just in a moment of like a teachable moment, because I feel like we are trapped sometimes, and we are trapped by the things that the world teaches us. We're trapped sometimes by what our parents teach us. And so I just wanted to share with you all and give you all some examples that you don't have to be one thing in this life. Now, hear me when I say this. I just want to say we get trapped. We get trapped in this box of what life should look like, what our title should be in life. And it just dawned on me last night. And maybe it's because I'm thinking about my children, and I have all my children are young adults now. And as I'm reviewing their lives with them and helping them walk into their adulthood, or just, or as I see friends, trying to find themselves. And I did post on my Facebook page the question, when did you find yourself and how did you find yourself? But I want everyone to know, like, you don't have to be one thing in this life. And let me give you some examples of that. And from the simplest thing, right? You don't have to have the same profession for your entire life. That seems kind of interesting because I promise y'all I'm on my 500th iteration of work, whatever my work profession and jobs are. So that's important to note. So you don't have to have the same profession, and most of us won't, right? We should be trying new things because our skills are transferable in so many different places. And so I just want to encourage you all to understand that. You don't have to dress, meaning the clothing that you wear all the time. Your style can change, you can evolve. And so I feel like I need to give people permission to change. And there's nothing wrong with changing. And then let me just tell you something. This is going to be a shocking part. Guess what? You don't even have to love the same people for your entire life. You don't. And if you do, that's a blessing. If you don't, that's okay too. Because we outgrow people and people outgrow us. And so can we please accept that? And can we also accept that love changes? So that's important to note too. Love can be a romantic love. Love can be a very platonic love. We need to understand that. That comes with maturity in this life. And if you're working on yourself, as they say, as the saying goes, right, you should be able to see an evolution in how you're making your decisions, how you're changing your thought processes. So, and how you're reviewing your relationships with others. Let's see. I also wanted to add that, oh yes, this is a good one. You don't have to have the same fears in life. What you were fearful of when you were 6 does not have to be the same fear you have at 22, 32, 52. Now, some of you guys be like, Kiddada, we shouldn't be fearful. Listen, I don't lie up in here. The reality is that we are afraid of a lot of things. And so we grow out of some of them because we have matured, because our experiences change. We see the difference. And so, listen, I have fears that are very different at 49 than I was at 6. And then also I want to say this, and I'm going to move on from this, but I just want to say, you don't have to have the same joys as well. That is important because even for myself, the things that bring me joy, and let me just say this, happiness and joy are two separate feelings. And most of us never, ever experience joy. And for me, joy is like a bouncing ball. Like I'm literally pinging off the walls and rolling on the floor and doing a little dance and all that kind of stuff. That's joy, because joy hits me real deep down in my gut, in my soul. And happiness, I think we are all trained to be happy. And happy can kind of feel like, if we were on a scale, I'd probably say like a 6, and a joy is like a full 10. But I don't think a lot of us move into the space of joy. And so everything doesn't have to be the same. I just wanted to say that, and I'll probably talk about that a little bit more because it's okay to evolve. It's okay to evolve. So you don't have to be one thing in this life. So I want to say that. I want us to just think about that. You don't have to be the one thing in this life. Lord knows. Whew, as a good Caribbean woman, I don't know how many jobs I have. I don't know how many jobs I have already had, but I know I am not the beginning of where I started this life. That's most important. I'm going to take a sip of coffee because I can hear my voice starting to get like 19888 called Kiddada ish. So that doesn't mean call me, or I'm going to charge y'all like $100 an hour for me to say good morning to you all. Now, with that being said, let's talk about misrepresentation. Because even though I'm talking about you don't have to be one thing in life, I don't want you to be a fraud. Let's start there. I don't need you to be fraudulent in who you are. So, and it just so happens that in Georgia anyway, and we have moved past our primary in Georgia in May, and in other states we've had primaries are occurring. That means when the same parties, everyone that are in those parties are running against each other, it's election time, right? And we all know that November we will have the presidential elections. And I think the very first misrepresentation in politics, not the very, when I say first, I mean that if you were paying attention now and with social media, that it just kind of blew up, was George Santos, right? And found that he lied prolifically about who he was in terms of running for Congress. He was everything. You name it, he was it. So if he needed to be gay, he was gay. If he needed to be Jewish, he was Jewish. If he was a part of 9/11, his mama died in 9/11. If he needed to be a Republican, he was a Republican. If he needed to be a Democrat, he was a Democrat. And so that's not what I'm talking about when I say you don't have to be one thing at one time, because we should be moving in the space that people are going to enjoy you, want to be around you, have a relationship with you, and vote for you because they like who you are. That seems to be a tad bit of a challenge for people. And so George Santos was it, and he was actually removed from Congress because of his lies. But let me correct myself. I think it was more around the financial lies because he took a lot of money from a lot of people based on his misrepresentation of self. And so this week or the last 2 weeks, we had a representative here, a newly re-elected representative here. Her name is Angela Moore. I'm just going to pretend like I'm a CNN anchor and report out on the news. And so apparently, and for full disclosure, I actually know this woman, and she has been busted, right, for misrepresenting herself in the politics here in Georgia. And she had 3 different misrepresentations. And so the first one was that she said that she was a part of the sorority, the Black sorority, African American sorority, Delta Sigma Theta. And like I said, this is her second year or her second term. So that means she spent her first term saying that she was a member of this particular sorority and shouting them out. And y'all, she also said that she was a veteran. She also claimed that she was an OGBYN. And so let me just say this. I'm so tickled. So, because you all know, if you all don't know, I'm also I run political campaigns and work in the political space here in Georgia. And so let me just say this to you all. Those type of, yes, Jennifer, yeah, Angela was it. Angela was on it. She was covering all the bases. Let me just say this. Those type of, and I'm going to call them affinity groups, right? So those different types of groups, and there's multitudes of groups. Like you could be an insurance agent, you could be a doctor. Those are all the affinity groups. you verbally speak those kind of things aloud, politicians will identify themselves in those spaces in hopes of building a relationship and building rapport with people in those affinity groups as well. And so, one thing that if you are not familiar with African American sororities and fraternities, they don't play about their letters and they don't play about their names. So, a fellow sister girl basically called her out um, about her letters and her being fake and not actually crossing. And for DST, the short version of Delta Sigma Theta. And let me just say, I only know of one Democrat that has really behaved very Trump-ish. I'm going to say it that way because, this idea of conforming and denying and denying. And that was what Sister Angela did because she was like, I am innocent. I was like, whoa, that's different. So, and the Delta Sigma Theta organization has come out and made a statement saying that no, we have not been able to find anything about her. And so, long story short, it's just wild. Like, people, you don't need to misrepresent yourself. You're not going to get thousands and thousands of votes because you're a veteran. You're not going to get thousands and thousands of votes because you're an OBGYN. Now, mind you, this OBGYN thing, she basically said that we couldn't get her to say, yes, she worked in the office. If she was a doctor, if she was the janitor in the office, I'm not too sure. But she also said that when it comes in regards to her being a veteran, she said she is she's with the family veterans. I didn't know that was a phrase. I'm a little confused, but I need to know, how do you all feel about when politicians, political candidates misrepresent themselves? Because we do have former President Trump who's convicted on 34 counts of his the hush money trial. And it doesn't matter for him anyway. It doesn't seem like it doesn't matter if people have found him guilty of the worst things. His followers, they're just like they ride or die in this space. But it's just interesting. And so I say, Jennifer Simpson says, can we address the interview she gave where she doubled down on the misrepresentations? Girl, listen, if you want to come on, do that, Jennifer. Tell Yoruba that you want to come on because I didn't see the interview. But I will tell you something that was funny, and no disrespect to the Zetas, but I had a friend who said maybe they misheard her correctly and she didn't say she was part of Delta Sigma. Hold on, y'all. I'm sorry. I gotta laugh. He said maybe she wasn't a part of the Delta Sigma Theta. Maybe she said she was a Zeta instead. So I was hollering. And no, Zora does not want to come on screen. She just wants some attention. Zora's the doggy if you are new to the podcast. So Yoruba, if you can send a link to Jennifer Simmons to come on screen if she wants to, because I didn't see the interview. I just know that Angela Moore was asked to present documentation and she could not. And in some spaces she did not. She didn't even show up. There's a phone call where I guess they asked her 3 times. And the second time they asked her if she was this. And she was like, no. It's just a mess. Listen, I just want to know, how do you feel about this misrepresentation in politics? Does it change your mind about politicians? For all I know, you might, hey, good morning, Teresa. You might think that all politicians are liars for all I know, but it's just a very interesting kind of thing because I'm going to say this, that to a degree, there is truth twisted slightly for some politicians to sharpen some language, sharpen their identities. See how I'm doing that? Sharpen. Versus the blatant lies. And on my campaigns, anyway, I'm just going to say this: we don't lie on my campaigns because that just doesn't sit right with me. So yeah, that was just something that y'all, and I mean, I need to stay here for a second because this story has blown up so much with Representative Angela Moore. Like Black Enterprise done picked it up. Good Morning America. I mean, it's like all over. And it's fascinating to me what we feel is like representation, or what we deem to be news, right? And so yeah, y'all. So you don't have to be one thing in this life, but that does not mean that you have to recreate yourself in a fraudulent way. I need you to be who you are, standing in your own truth and space, because I promise you, when you live a fraudulent lifestyle, you believe your lies so much you don't even know who you are, and you become the lie that you're reflecting out into the world, and it's hard to come back from. And I talk a lot about identity on this podcast, and so it's sad, it's kind of funny. I can only make light of it because it's just woo, child. And yeah, and so Emily Leslie says it infuriates her. It infuriates her. So it's just a wild journey. And so this is where we're at in the world, and it seems like we're getting worse. Politics is getting worse. We seem like democracy on any side of the aisle is being tossed away, thrown aside, and I don't know what it's going to look like moving forward. I'm going to take another sip of the coffee, the nectar of the gods this morning. Before we go on to teen fathers. And so I was hoping every once in a while I ask questions and look for guests. And I did have a guest, y'all, but he was one of them. He was traveling this morning. So I'm actually going to have him on at some point in time and circle back to him. And some people don't want to talk about their histories, right? And I respect that. I really do respect that, because I believe my last show that I did, I talked about being a teen mom in the space of, it was Mother's Day, and just having that identifier, because it seems to me, from my experience, that we tend to shame teen moms. And so, but I recognize too that there's another half of the puzzle, because guess what? Young women don't get pregnant in a vacuum. We are all not Mary, and babies don't happen to come from storks and fly it through the air and dropped off at the front door. And so I was like, well, let's talk about teen moms and teen fathers, excuse me. And I wanted to talk to some men about their teen fatherhood journey, because they're like the silent partners, right? And they don't seem to be held into account the same way that teen mothers are. And I wanted to have that conversation. And so maybe one day I will find someone with the level of bravery enough to come on the show and talk about that journey. And let me just say this. The same thing kind of happened with teen moms. Like a lot of women have kind of moved on from that, even though that's a part of their identity and profile of who they are. I kind of think of ourselves and myself as puzzle pieces, and we have all of these pieces that kind of interconnect and interlock together. And I don't throw any of it away for myself. I don't do that. I believe in the good, the bad, the ugly, the totality of who I am. So I want to talk about some teen father statistics. I want to be judicious and in the space of giving and providing information, because I saw some things that I was kind of like, that's interesting. And let me just say this. I'm a little biased, because since I was a teen mom, I know what my teen motherhood journey was like in relationship to the father of my child. And that was interesting. So, and I'm not going to say it was negative, because I didn't have certain expectations. And so let's talk about teen fathers. And like I said, Father's Day is coming, and June 16th. And so when we talk about fathers, we automatically think about adult males, like late 20s, early 30s, our daddies, 60, 70-year-old dads. We never think about teen fathers, which could range anywhere from like 12, that's a young tween, so 13 and up. But do you all know that most teen fathers, though, are usually between the ages of 18 and 19 years old? I found that to be really fascinating. Also, let me just say, there's not a lot of research about teen fatherhood, or adolescent fatherhood. So because I'm a Google Scholar girl, and so it's really interesting because, like I said, they are like the silent partner, as if the journey is just the young woman's, and the babies, and that's how we live this life. That there's probably some misogynistic, patriarchal kind of framework underlying to that. But I thought that was really interesting because the 18 to 19-year-old age range caused a little bit of angst for me because depending on the age of the teen mother, we're getting into some serious legal issues. I just want to point that out. But not here for slapping hands right now. I'm just here for putting out some information. And so one of the things that I also came across was I looked at a longitudinal study. And what that means is that a longitudinal study, for all that you don't know, means that you're taking a group of participants and you're observing them repeatedly over a long span of time, right? So they did this with fathers, young teen fathers, and I thought this was interesting. So, and I find research interesting. That's why Google Scholar should be your best friend. But so some of those characteristics as they deem them, just so you know, like I said, that statistics of most young men who father or a child during their teens are 18 or 19 years old. And so interestingly enough, like that age range, usually the age of the mother is reflected the same. So usually the mom is 19 or younger. So I was like, okay, that's interesting. In this particular sample that they were talking about, like 48% of the teen fathers were white, 29% were Black, 19% were Hispanic, and so on and so on. And here's what was an interesting statistic too, that less than one half of teen fathers live with their first child at the time of their birth. So here's where the parent of me kicked in, y'all, because I don't presume to believe that just because there's a teen parenting situation about to occur and a child entering into this world, that people need to be together, that the teens need to be in relationship together. And that is probably one of the biggest struggles that people have, and probably a little conflict with me, because I know my oldest son, I remember he asked me one time why him and his daddy weren't married, and I could not believe that, because I was just like, I don't understand where he even got that from. That was a different ideology, because for me, it did not resonate. I never thought that I had to stay with my child's father. It never occurred to me that I needed to marry him. And I don't even know where that expectation comes from outside of more of a Christianity sense. If you all know where you all think that concept comes from, and just let you know, like some of you all on my page have children, would you let your child's mother, or like the father or the woman, would would they be allowed to move in with you just because there's a child on the way? Please drop it in the chat. Or do you think that those kids should marry just because that there's a child on the way? I'm curious to know and hear your thoughts about that, because I think that's wild. I don't even believe that adults who have children, if it's not a healthy relationship, you definitely don't need to be married. So I just think that that is really, really crazy, 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 crazy. But I thought that was a good thing to note, though, that there was some level of responsibility, I think. I don't, and as I'm thinking through this, I'm not too sure if it's a responsibility, because I don't even know if it's love, right? Like, why are y'all pushing these two people together? And Teresa Hardy says, yeah, I don't think they should marry. I'm confused as to why there's that expectation, because I just want to say, for all the people in the back, sex and love don't necessarily go together, and having a baby and being a parent and love don't go together either. So just want to let you all know that and be clear about it. So if that is your goal, to have your teen daughter marry this young man just because she has a child by him, I promise you, you might be putting her in danger. So yeah, that's just an interesting kind of thing. The other thing is that it also claimed, a lot of the other studies claimed that young men kind of receive the same social stigmas that that young women receive. Like, they're shunned in society, that a lot of them do drop out of school. The impact of them dropping out of school or being young definitely is something that the children want to do or participate in. I'm a little bit confused here. So help me all as I'm still kind of like working through this, because it's an interesting thing. And I'm going back and forth, y'all, because, so forgive me, because I just saw that my producer said that Jennifer Simmons is ready to go. So all right, I'm gonna wrap this, so because we need to go back to misrepresentation in politics. But then one of the things that some of the commentary that I read, which I found to be quite honest, that when it comes to young men, that the idea of fatherhood inflicts this idea of the fight or flight response in them. Should I stay? Should I go? Should I stay? Should I go? Which I thought, well, that's interesting, because I'm sure that response is innate in a woman as well. But when you have a baby inside your tummy, you're not going far. There's what you have to deal with is not going far. But the argument was made that this fight or flight response came about because boyhood is a time for growth and hanging out and being like hanging out with your friends and playing football. And so they have a choice to make. And most young men they choose the flight option. Just think about that. Just think about that, because there are adult parents with this young person. So it's interesting. So Copper Penny Jenny, hello. She said, he or she, I'm sorry, I can't see your photo, but says, I have a visceral response to the teen parent conversation. Drop it in the chat. I want to know some more about that. I'm interested to know why you have a visceral conversation. And Teresa Hardy said, I don't believe that young teen parents should move into the parent's home, although I do believe there is guidance needed to focus on the responsibility and accountability part. I agree. But there's leading into the accountability part. There was actually a study provided too that said that, here's what I thought was interesting, that young boys who are about to become teen fathers, they say that it is there. They go not only to this fight or flight, but then they also go into denial, which is I'm not the child's father, as if they weren't present. And then they're backed up by their parents about there's no possible way that he could be the father, even though he did have unprotected sex. These young men believe that young women are responsible for birth control, so they're not responsible, and that this has absolutely nothing to do with them. The fatherhood conversation has nothing to do with them. And so that is, and this is not, I'm not bashing, I just find that mindset very interesting because I have seen videos. There's a video out on, I think it's TikTok, in the TikTok world, of life that reflects like a mother found out her daughter was pregnant, so she called the mother of the young man, and that mother's response was, "My child didn't do it." And so we are setting young men up not to have a level of responsibility around a child coming into the world. And then not only that, but in that same space where he made the choice to have a relationship with this now soon to be mother, he is now shaming her for the act of her becoming pregnant. And so, and there's adult people encouraging this foolishness. So, can we not? Can we not? But I'm happy to note, though, that a lot of young teen fathers, though, they do want to be a part of their children's lives. They do want to have visitation. They do want to have custody. And I think I said, or joint custody. And I believe I said when I was talking about my own experience as being a teen mom, that it's the responsibility of the adult parents to actually share in the handling and crafting, like Teresa Hardy said, the guidance of how do we move in this space? How do we do, like, who's going to work? Who's going to pay for health insurance? Who's going to pay for diapers? Will this young person have to get a job? Will this young person have to leave school to be supported? What does that look like? So, but here's the reality too, is that most adults can't even have that conversation in a mature way that's focused on that child that's about to be entered into this world. So I'm happy to note that I couldn't find like a lot of teen father programs, because fathers need skills just like anybody else, how to diaper, what it feels like to stay up late at night or wake up in the middle of the night. I do want to share this with you all, though, that it is not inherent thought that a teen father actually have rights, parent rights. And so they have rights that are concerned with custody and visitation and child support. And a 16-year-old definitely can be put on child support. A 16-year-old can be put on visitation. They can ask for custody. They have legal rights in this space. And that is important to know. And it's also important to navigate all this fighting back and forth. And, there's a certain mindset around teen parents and who should be responsible for what. And, there's also listen, let me just break this down, because there's a mindset that I don't understand. So somebody out here in the big interwebs of Cat Williams internet, somebody needs to explain to me why it is when a teen mom gets pregnant, that the teen father believes that she belongs to him in perpetuity for the rest of her life. So that is something that I don't understand. So if anybody knows, but I still want to know, Copper Penny Jenny, I would love to know why you're having a visceral response to this conversation. And I'm sure it has something to do with a personal experience. But I'm curious. I would love to know more of that. So if you guys have any more thoughts about that, the teen parent kind of thing, and about fathers, please drop it in the chat because I'm curious. If you want to come on too, please let me know. I am interested. I am interested in what you have to say. And it's, I do wish, I'm not gonna lie, I do wish I had some men on here because I'm sure their experience is, it's not only, I'm sure, I know their experience is valuable because I'm interested to know it from the other side, what the struggles were in relationship to how do I get access to my child? How do you view the mother? Because I also want to say that these are children without full brain development, and they're trying to navigate adult waters that is challenging even for adults to do. So, you robot, can we take a quick break? And then after the break, we're going to bring on Jennifer to make a statement, and we're going to go back to misrepresentation. So, or otherwise, y'all going to see me drink this coffee this morning.
Welcome to Life Coaching Today Presents, hosted by Kiddada.
One of the biggest challenges for coaches, practitioners, and hypnotherapists is getting clients. As coaches ourselves, we know how difficult it is on social media to stand out and gain credibility. That is why at Life Coaching Today, we connect coaches like you with clients. It all starts with our directory, where it's possible to create a profile that gets the right exposure with over 12,000 hits a month. You can gain credibility by writing for Life Coaching Today magazine, add videos, be interviewed on our podcast, teach classes in the community, and sell your products directly from our website. Not to mention, we actually connect clients who are actively searching for coaches who can best serve them. So if you are struggling to get clients, have Life Coaching Today help you get more clients. Go to lifecoachingtoday.com.
Hey y'all, I am back. Good morning, sister. Sister to the podcast.
Good morning.
Look at you looking all cute this morning. Look at that, looking on the hair is doing the
Listen, no, this is look, rap and barely holding on. But I'm here.
Listen, God woke you up this morning.
1,000% real.
God woke you up this morning. That's a starting place. He ain't say your hair had to be right this morning. He just said he's gonna wake you up. That is not in the Bible. That is not in the Bible that your hair was gonna look like this morning.
Oh, and yes, I'm also, if you see a red hue, that is my listen, I'm on the show, but I can't neglect my infrared moment.
Yes, get your infrared, girl. Yes.
Get my infrared in.
Yes, get it.
So you were speaking about misrepresentation. I got to take my glasses off for this because I just, misrepresentation, I think, is one of it's. If I'm not getting too much into the psychology of it, just to mention politics, psychology, and the players in our realm. I have empathy. I can't say I can completely identify, but I have empathy for many people who are play actors, because I think a lot of times that is the space that some politicians or elected officials seem to float in between. But when I saw the interview with Angela regarding her basically being called on the carpet for 3 items, one being, I'm going to say items. You're trying to be good this morning, Kiddada. Don't you dare burst into laughter. Yes, right. Notify your face, ma'am.
No, I'm trying to be good. And before Jennifer,
you're going to be excellent on this Thursday morning.
And Jennifer, before you proceed, and just in case you're joining us at this last moment, I'm just going to say I'm Kiddada Esmera Gray. This is Jennifer Simmons, who is joined with her comments. I was speaking about misrepresentation in politics, and and Jennifer and I, full disclosure, we do work in this political space here in Georgia. And so one of our newly re-elected officials was found to have misrepresented herself in her second run for office. And so I'm going to let Jennifer Simmons talk about the items in an interview that I missed. I have not been watching the news lately, so I just know what's been in the news reports. I did not see the exact interview about what she said.
Yes, I want to say, and I don't want to misquote, but I want to say it was 11 Alive that aired this interview. And it was sent to me multiple times, which I found curious as well. That I think it hits so many of our fellow political sisters and brothers, that the audacity, the unmitigated gall. I think, and I didn't really have that kind of reaction to it,
right,
simply because there's a lot of unmitigated gall and audacity that just comes literally with the territory. But in this scenario, for Angela to be an elected official, being re-elected to office, the misrepresentation and how it would affect her community, the social strata of it, because essentially she doubled down. That was what I was, the comment that I put in the chat, that I think I was more surprised that she doubled down on what was being clearly asked of her. Are you a member of Delta Sigma Theta? Her first response was that when she was married, and it's a very interesting response, she did not, interesting, Kiddada.
Sorry.
No, it's totally okay, because that's how my face looked when I heard what she said. She said that she didn't find that she was distancing herself from her ex-husband, number one. So the name in which she was registered through Delta Sigma Theta was her former married name. Well, Delta Sigma Theta immediately retorted with, we did an in-depth investigation, and under no name, at any time, any place, anywhere, was she ever a member, a soror, if you will, of Delta Sigma Theta Incorporated. So that was one thing. And the journalist did her journalistic duties and said, you moved on to the next item and asked about her being a veteran. When she said that she was a family veteran, Kiddada Esmera Gray, I ma'am, because you're a life coach. I
don't know what that means.
I needed life coaching when I was watching the interview. You understand? I said, wait a minute. What exactly? And mind you, I am a former wife of an actual veteran. I'm not, and I said actual because that was literally what came from my soul. I'm a granddaughter of an actual veteran. So being in a military family is highly, highly, highly disregarded for you to misrepresent in that capacity. If you did not in fact serve in the military in some formal capacity, you can't. It's like being kind of pregnant. You can't kind of be pregnant. You can't kind of be a veteran. That's just my humble opinion. Can be a little bit pregnant. Gonna move on. She stated also in this interview that the journalist clearly asked her the question, are you an OBGYN? Now, just that question alone, to ask someone, are you an OBGYN in the medical world, someone being asked, are you an OBGYN, indicates that you are a doctor, not have you been OBGYN adjacent? Have you worked in an OBGYN office? Did you once go to an OBGYN? That is not.
Did you show up in the office?
Are you familiar with what OBGYN states, what it is about? Her response, Kiddada, was legitimately, I wish I was making this up. She said, yes, have worked in OBGYN. So I don't know what to make of I've worked in OBGYN. So the follow-up question to that was, well, because I'm the journalist at this point in my mind thinking,
Right.
how do I reframe my question?
Right.
And it was just for me. And then I come out of being the journalist and I say, even if you believed these things about yourself, because some people lie and then become believer of said lie.
Yes.
We understand the psychology behind all of that.
Yes.
And to me, it was really apparent. That's where my empathy kind of kicked in. I said, now, she's sitting before this camera that she volunteered to sit in front of. No one jammed the camera in her face. She was not run down. She was sitting in her office, what appeared to be inside the Capitol.
Right. Oh.
Pregnant pause. So if I'm in your constituency, and I am not, thank God. But if I am a part of your constituency, and I know I'm sharing very strong and bold opinions, but as a voter, that's how I feel. I know many of the elected officials in the county that I live in the state that I live in. That's you can't be, I mean, you can't be in Georgia. And even if we didn't work in politics or any level of consulting, not know, the people. I'm just saying it would make me very concerned about how are you representing me in my district as a result of you, at least on these three fronts. We don't know about other areas of your life, but I believe in the 3 strikes you're out process. On 3 levels, we have identified where you have absolutely misrepresented yourself.
Right.
And if you are my representative in the state of Georgia, I would take pause. I would absolutely take pause and issue with that. And particularly for the sister girl that we shared that ran against her, that is, in fact, a member of Delta Sigma Theta.
That's right. That's right.
I absolutely salute that sister for taking the positioning and the organization itself. You have to defend your organization for the membership and what the morals and standards that they are, because misrepresentation cannot be tolerated, and really quick, go ahead.
Yeah.
I want you to respond to that, but I had about the other thing that I had a visceral response to.
I just want to state that it is, so first let me say, if you all don't know, like when you cross and you become a full member of fraternity sorority, you actually receive a number. That number does not change, y'all. So for her to continue that lie is
on camera.
On camera. But let me just tell you, if you go, you can Google her. There's a YouTube video of Angela Moore on Delta Sigma Theta Day at the Capitol.
A whole video.
She was doing it with her full chest. And so, like I said, I know her. Yeah, and I'm gonna keep my thoughts about that. But let me just say this: in the space of representing community, here's where I want her community, and I'm not advocating for because let me just say this: here's what can actually occur. The body of the constituents that actually elected her, someone can decide to recall her.
Absolutely.
Okay? They can recall her, because if the offense is so high and if there's enough numbers, they can actually recall her, recall the election, do it over again. I just want to put that out there.
Yep.
But here's something that people don't think about in terms of representation, because the role and responsibility of that state rep is to not only be a representative, I hate to define a word with a word, but the same word, of the body of the constituency, but also you're supposed to build bridges and make relationships with your fellow representatives, so that way you can get laws enacted for the betterment of the good of the people, right? So now she has alienated representatives who are veterans. She has alienated anyone that's in a fraternity and sorority because they're going to take offense because people love their letters. I ain't mad at them. And so, how's she going to make laws and come into a meeting and where people feel like she can be trusted? You know, there's no relationship building. She has broken relationship there. And so she can't get done what she needs to get done. So even when she's out in the community, people are going to be side-eyeing her. Unless we forgot, never mind. I just remember there was another video, but I'm not going to
Right. And again, this is you know her, I know her. I have actually worked in fundraising spaces with her. So this is more than just misrepresentation on a statewide level as your representative. You're talking about relationships again. And even you are being in conflict with yourself. Right. So in conflict with yourself publicly, again, I can have empathy and compassion all day long, but if I cannot trust that if you tell me I'm a doctor and you're not a doctor, if you tell me you're a soror and you're not a soror, and then you again audaciously tell me that you are a part of the military, and then versus saying, and she did say, I apologize before the interview even got launched. She said, I am so sorry that you all, as my constituency, was dragged into this. Sis, who did the dragging? I mean, you pulled your people by nature of misrepresentation into this conversation. I'm sorry, I'm not a clinician, so I can't I can't speak to that. But you understand what I'm saying? Like,
I do want to say
relationships and being able to. A large part of being a representative is advocacy. I'm not going to be inclined to have a conversation or believe that you are legitimate when you are misrepresenting your own identity. Your own identity.
I just want to say this. So I've got 5 more good minutes because I actually need to jump to another meeting this morning. But I just want to say, if she's not an OBGYN and she's OBGYN adjacent, I feel like every woman in America, because I'm 49 years old, I don't know how many times I've been to the OBGYN. Maybe we all can have that title. I don't know, because there's a lot of OBGYNs in this world. But I had to make that I had to get that off my chest, y'all. That off my chest, because every woman.
Crying. You're not helping me try. You're not helping me try at all, ma'am. You are not. I can only be good one day a week. One. It's 7, and today is the day I'm trying to behave, Kiddada. Trying. Let me get to my real quick visceral response to, and I want to bring me back. You were talking about the teen father.
Yes.
Right? Okay. Now, I can't speak to being a teen mother or father, but have had relatives that experience that. So I got it secondhand in terms of observation. But my visceral reaction is this, because we're still a part of the same community. We're talking about specific topics that affect or have affected our families and our daily life. And I just always had a perspective of, I'm very welcoming, just individually. And regardless of teen pregnancy or not, I never understood the parental or I never understood the judgment. That's just I will never understand the judgment. Do I get the response? Maybe, but I just don't understand the judgment and the distance, and or what when you were speaking specifically about making a young person marry or forcing them into or even putting them in circumstances that make them have to even think about that. When you said they're children, I thought, dear God, yes, they're children themselves, even if they have committed a sexual act that has caused them to become pregnant. Right. That should not immediately, it's almost like it's a fast track to, scarlet letter, more so for the woman than
Yes.
the men, because men, even at that age, don't tend to be held to the same standard or level of accountability across the board, in my little humble opinion. And I just think that it's a conversation I would love to hear from teen dad, and if you do get a response from any of them, to see, what that's been like for them over the years, because I don't think that I don't recall a time ever I've heard any young man or older man who's been through that experience had a microphone placed and given an
Right.
opportunity to speak publicly. So kudos to Life Coaching Today and your podcast. I think you're opening a space for people to say the things that don't exist in other spaces.
Well,
And it's
thank you
important.
for that. Yeah, I'm definitely going to keep hunting people down for this conversation, because you're right. The level of accountability is so different.
Yeah.
And you made me think, because y'all don't know me, my mind is always running. It never stops. And so I just thought to myself, how old, part of it, that scarlet letter comes with this idea of Christianity. And because you're not supposed to have premarital sex, you're not supposed to, so women are branded. But I'm just going to tell y'all, in closing, a few things. So one, put a note in this, because we are going to talk about religion in the month of August. The entire month of August, we are going to talk about the Bible and its relationship to life today. So that is the entire month of August. So listen, it's going to blow. People going to be in their feelings. People going to be mad, but that's what I'm here to do. But I just want to let y'all know that Mary, mother of Jesus, her age when she was pregnant and gave birth, she was between the ages of 12 to 14 years old. I just put a note in that, put a pin that.
Right. Just a little scientific notation.
Put a little pin. So we're going to return to that. It is my hope to give men a platform to discuss this, if they were a teen father, and what that was like for them. Because I do have some questions. And like I said, I have personal experience in that space. And so when I arrive there to have that conversation, I'm putting it out there now. This is not an attacking conversation. It is more of a curiosity, and please help us understand, because one person, two men, if I had three men on the show, they're all not going to have the same experiences. Just like my experience as a teen mom was not the same as everyone else's. So most important there. So I'm going to keep working on that. And I just want to say, in closing, as usual, I'm always talking about identity. So we're talking about misrepresentation. Why do you feel the need to misrepresent yourself? But like I said, live your truth. And sometimes trying to find and discover who you are is challenging, because we have so many levels and labels and people that define us for us, that we get lost in all of those other words. Like I always think about a word cloud, and then you have to figure out which ones actually are applicable to you. Do they actually apply? And throw off the ones that other people have given to you. So that way you don't have to find yourself in the space of lying about who you are, because when you absorb other people's labels for yourself, you lose yourself. That's just that's just it. And then you can call me, reach out to me and say, hey, Kiddada, I need a couple exercises. How do I get to myself? And let's have that conversation. So over the next few weeks, there's going to be some interesting things to come on Life Coaching Today Presents. And so one of the things is that I'm going to start introducing 10 minutes worth of wisdom. So if you want to do 10 minutes worth of wisdom, and I'm not going to give you all my wisdom, I'm going to get other people's wisdoms and share it with y'all, because I can't talk that much no more, y'all. I just can't. So I need you all, if you're interested, drop it in the chat. Say, Kiddada, I know you all are talented. I got thousands of people on my page. Y'all are a talented group of individuals. Whatever it is you want to give wisdom to the world, hit me up, let me know. And it might gain you an opportunity to be on the full podcast. I love it. I love it. I love it. So share your experiences. Let me know. So see that coming July, I'm still kind of like, what are we going to do? Because I'm traveling. It's summertime. We're all traveling. I'm going to be in the streets, of the streets, for the streets.
Ma'am, so because you're traveling, we have to figure out what we're going to do with our lives in the July podcast.
I got y'all.
Okay. I
have to figure out where I'm going to be next week. So I'm going to get y'all. I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do. So I don't know where I'm going to be next week.
I was going to say, this is a mobile effort, ma'am. You can carry us with you.
Now, I'm not saying I'm going to be in another country, but I might be in another country. But tis the season. So thank you all for joining me, Kiddada as Mary Gray, and Jennifer Simmons. Thank you for coming in with your wisdom. And thank you for watching TV to give us some insight, because Lord knows, y'all.
Oh, no. They sent me the clip. You know I don't watch TV, lady.
Some of us try to stay out the TV world. But thank you all. I have to run to a next meeting, but just keep looking out for more to come from Life Coaching Today Presents. I'm growing. The podcast is growing. I'm being seen in so many different places and asked to do so many different things. So soon come, as they say. And happy Father's Day. Go buy great gifts for the daddies. And if you are a child of a daddy who is no longer with us, I promise you your daddy still loves you. Talk to your daddy in spirit. So thank you all. Have a good day. Thank you, Robot. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, everyone who joined me today.
Bye, guys.
So next week. All right, bye.
Thank you for watching Life Coaching Today Presents, hosted by Kiddada Gray and produced by Aruba Saad. Our mission at Life Coaching Today is to empower your health, business, community, and life. Check us out at lifecoachingtoday.com. Everyone here at the True Awesome Network would like to remind you to like, comment, subscribe, and spread awesome.